Well, Mountaineer fans, things are about to get real this week. After the backyard brawl, conference play is heating up. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah. So they might go crazy.
Well, guys, it's game week, home game in Morgantown, West Virginia. Kickoff at noon. So, what do you guys think? Think the Mountaineers are going to come back? Because guess what? Put your crying towels away because it's time to play some football. There's a lot of season left. Last night on the show, gave everybody a little bit of a scolding for being negative. Guys, the sky's not falling completely. It's not a great situation, but we could be in a worse situation. So, Kansas. So, Kansas and West Virginia both kind of like, how can I say it? Limp, like they're injured after licking their wounds. Both teams had leads, and they just pissed them away. But this adds some excitement. Okay, yes, two teams that are 1-2 coming into playing in Morgantown, West Virginia. But you know what? Each team needs this as bad as the other. So Lance Leopold was saying that this is going to be a good test. But it's going to be a test for the Mountaineers too. So I would say he's saying there's going to be excitement. Lance Leopold said there's going to be excitement in Morgantown. Excitement, I would say, added with trepidation and nerves. I'm going to the game. I might have to have an extra sarsaparilla before noon because I don't know what to think, guys. I'm gonna pick the rest of the games in the Big 12 here, this show, and we're gonna go through game by game, and we'll see exactly. I know Coos did it. I didn't want to watch his before I did mine. I'm going to watch his here later tonight. But Kansas is coming off a 23-20 loss to UNLV. UNLV ran it right up the middle at the end. They drove 75 yards on 18 plays with the last 9 minutes, guys. And then they capped the drive with a 4th and goal run from the 1-yard line. So it was 4th and goal, and they got that 1 yard and won it. So big win for UNLV. Kansas was still ranked. Not ranked now. I was hoping Kansas would be ranked coming into Morgantown. But as we know, the Mountaineers can feel Kansas's pain because the Mountaineers moved ahead by 10 points with around 4 minutes and some change. And then Pitt rallied with drives of 75 yards and 77 yards. Guys, we all know this. 38-34. Victory for the Pitt Panthers in the backyard brawl. So, they sealed that touchdown with 32 seconds left. Neil Brown was quoted saying, when you lose a rivalry game in the final minutes, there's going to be negativity. No shit, Sherlock. And then he comes on and says, about when you have a passionate fan base, that's going to happen, guys. I think he's understating the fact that the kids won that game, and I know the coaches came back with a response saying, they'll stand by their decision making, but you got to learn from your mistakes. So hopefully they learn from their mistakes. But so, Garrett Green finally threw 2 interceptions of the season, guys. But he passed for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns so far. But let's talk about let's talk about defensive end T.J. Jackson. He had 7 tackles, and 2.5 sacks. So, those are some long scoring drives, and the defense allowed a late push, and they just collapsed, guys. So let's talk about Kansas now. Sorry, got off subject there. Kansas has a running back named Devin Neal. So far he has 330 yards. All 3 games he's rushed for over 100 yards. He averages 7 yards a game. So West Virginia needs the third quarter West Virginia team, not the fourth quarter West Virginia team from the Pitt game. They need that stingy defense to show up. So, guys, Jalen Daniels, let's talk about that cat for a little bit. So far, he has just shy of 500 yards, 498 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's thrown 5 picks. If anybody's in their own head, it's this young man. So, he also, I think, has a fumble. So, the ball coach for Kansas, Leipold, is supporting his quarterback, of course, but he praised him by saying he has an outstanding attitude, he's coachable, all the great things and the upside and all the coach speak. But guys, West Virginia leads the series 10-2. Okay, 10 games to 2. I'm gonna think it's gonna be 11-2 after this week. I think West Virginia rights the ship, gets them moving in the right direction, and they pull out a victory. I'm going to be there. I have friends coming in from out of town. We're going to go down to the game. So let's go to the chat, see what see who's in there. Oh, okay. Jared Devil, Joey, good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Jared Devil, what's up? So I was on Ralph Williams' show at 4:00 today. So we're going to have 4 shows before it's said and done today. So we're going to be on the Voice of College Football at 8, and then Steelers Nation Australia and at 9. So if you like Steelers talk, like Kelly McCourt does, he tunes into the Steelers Dynasty podcast in Steelers Nation Australia. And then my show at 8:00, the Mountaineer Mafia. So guys, check it out. What are the picks? What do you think the season's going to be? Are we going to be have a 4-win season? I'll tell you what, if they lose to Kansas, they'll be lucky to get 4 wins, 3 wins. But guys, I'm picking Kansas to lose, and I'm picking the Mountaineers to make a nice little push, guys. So I'm going to run through each game, and we're going to talk about, when do we think that game's going to be played? Because some of them are to be determined. When are the Mountaineers going to pull out those black unis? Those shiny new black unis. When are those going to come out? Huh? So let me take a drink here real quick. Get some Go Juice H2O. So after West Virginia bounces back against the Jayhawks, guys, they'll be 2-2. I'm giving them just a little bit of an edge in this game. But I think the defense is they're going to have the A team. And that's the A team that they had. The studs played like played stingy defense that third quarter. I think they're going to show up. And I think the Mountaineers are still a better team than Kansas. I think they are. I honestly do in my feels. And that's what hurts about that last game. The better team didn't win. And it happens. That happens frequently, guys. If you look that up in the dictionary, you see Notre Dame. So October 5th, guys. October 5th. The Mountaineers will roll into Oklahoma. And I think the Oklahoma State team is loaded. They're well coached. West Virginia struggled against the Cowboys. I think after a win against Kansas, West Virginia gets a little bit of their swagger back. But I think they're too big for their britches. I think Kansas hands the Mountaineers their first conference loss. Guys. Yes, drug test me. I might have been smoking pot because if you're a true Mountaineer fan, you're going to pick up the win the rest of them, right, Shane? No, guys, come on. This Oklahoma State team is a pretty good team. And then this next team, Joey has called it. Back in March, April, and May, we were doing conference tiers. Who's the top of the Big 12? Who's the second tier? Who's the third tier? Iowa State was never brought up as being in the top tier. But I think they're a good top of the second tier. So, will the Mountaineers beat Iowa State? This is a home game. And this is one game that the Mountaineers, if you go by your feels, and I know Joey's probably going to pick Iowa State because they're good, but, I think West Virginia pulls one out. I think Iowa State plays better. West Virginia just gets lucky. This Iowa State team, their defense is pretty legit. Every one of those Iowa State games going back the past 3 years have been like scores of 17-14, 19-20. It have been like the stereotypical Big Ten type of games. Iowa State's going to score some points against West Virginia. So, but I think they go to 2-1 in the conference with the win against Iowa State. So, this is the beast. This looks to be the beast of the Big 12. Remember the beast of the East? Remember those shirts? Well, this is Kansas State 2024 is legitimately a top 10 team. Absolutely 100% I believe it. So, K-State's going to be just like a steamroller. Okay, guys? And they have that Avery Johnson, and they beat a good Arizona team. Okay? The Wildcats, even with a loss, are still in it, guys. And don't sleep on them. But, Willie the Wildcat and the and company are going to be rolling into Morgantown. I think this is in Morgan. Yeah, this is in Morgantown. I have it highlighted. So what's Joey say? He thinks Kansas State wins this conference, but I can see ISU in the championship game. Yes, I can too. I think one of ISU's only losses is going to be to West Virginia. I think they're going to have Iowa State's going to have 2 losses. But that makes sense, Joey. Absolutely 100%. So, what else are we talking about here? Well, I think Kansas State's going to beat West Virginia. They go to 2-2 in the conference. Yes, 2-2. They're so good. If West Virginia beats Kansas State, I will be over the moon. I'll be ecstatic, guys. I'll be there. Write it down. That's going to be the game where they rock the new unis. Hit me up in the comments, Joey. What do you think? Kelly? Black unis? Black unis. Hashtag, right? I'm queer for the gear. I like the swag. I like the new stuff, man. I like that the uniforms they have this year, I think, are fantastic. So 2-2, Kansas State loss. Now, here's where it gets dicey. I wrote it down that this was going to be a loss against Arizona. I wrote that down. That's what's in my notes right here. But here's my thought process. If West Virginia loses to Kansas State, they beat Arizona. Right? If they beat Kansas State, let me get that straight. So if they beat Kansas State, they lose to Arizona. So I had them originally losing to both. But I think, guys, they play well in Arizona. And they get lucky on one of these. So let's recap. Kansas State loss. Go to Arizona, pull out an upset, and beat Arizona in the desert. It's either going to be a blowout by 3 touchdowns or West Virginia wins close in the desert. Cincinnati at Cincy. Guys, this is going to be ugly. This is going to be like the Pitt West Virginia game. Cincinnati has that little brother gonna punch in the mouth, even though I'm 3 inches smaller than you. Tough guy. I think Cincinnati's going to try to give West Virginia their best shot, and if they're not ready for it, lights out. This is going to be a nasty game. So this is a game that WVU should just roll over. But I see this as a struggle. I see West Virginia winning by the skin of their teeth. So that's another win for West Virginia. So I have the Mountaineers at 3-3 in conference right now, right? So they're losing to Kansas State. They're losing to Oklahoma State. What is that? Yeah, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. So guys, they're 2 losses. So they're 4-2, right? 4-2. Baylor. Let's talk about Baylor. Baylor's supposed to be better than they were. But they had they're at the bottom rung of the ladder. So even if they're 3 rungs up, that's an improvement, but not much. I still think they're in rebuild, reboot. It's going to be tough. I think West Virginia's going to be favored. I'm hoping that West Virginia doesn't look past this game. I see them winning this, guys. This is going to be a home game. It's going to be a little chilly, a little frost on the pumpkins. So there's Mark. So I picked that as a. So Mark, did you get to watch the Backyard Brawl at all? This, college football is totally different than the NFL, Mark. Now we move on to UCF. So another home game. It's late November. It's going to be chilly, guys. Probably, I would feel this is going to be where the Mountaineers are starting to sniff the bowl season. And in order for West Virginia to go bowling, they need this win. West Virginia wins at home. UCF is no slouch, but Mountaineers with the win. Guys, here we go. Last game. At Texas Tech. I had this down as a loss on my sheet. Just like Arizona, I think they win this. Just like last year, they started off, they had some burps, and then they got hot. They got hot at the right time. and I think they're going to play some good ball in November. They make it through November unscathed, win for West Virginia. So let's recap. Texas Tech win, UCF win, Baylor win, Cincinnati win. That's 4 in a row. Win at Arizona. That's 5 in a row. Okay? Loss at Kansas State, or at home against Kansas State. Iowa State win. Loss at Oklahoma. Beat Kansas. Guys, can you make it in the playoff with 5 wins? You got a loss to Oklahoma State, a loss to Kansas State. I don't know. That's tricky. That's tricky, guys. Can the Mountaineers make it? I'd like to hear what Joey has to say about that. So there's my pick. West Virginia still goes bowling. They are snubbed for the conference championship. They finished 3rd in the conference, or 4th. There you have it. So let's talk about game time. So what's going to happen for me is my buddy's going to roll in Friday. Going to go see some high school football under the lights. Great time. Watch some high school football. Get up about 6:45. Load the car, eat some breakfast, load the car up about 7. Roll 2 hours down to Motown. Park at the Coliseum. Walk up to the blue lot. Have some sarsaparillas. Maybe play some dizzy bat. My buddy doesn't have sarsaparillas. Just drinks water and milk. That's going to be the plan. What's your plan? What's your go-to? What's the perfect time to get there for a noon kickoff? I always feel like I'm getting there too early. I don't have enough time. The 3:30 kickoffs are perfect. 7 o'clock is pushing it. Usually I'm just at the point where I'm drinking sarsaparillas and peeing. So, Mountaineer fans, hit me up. We're going to be on here again for the Mountaineer Mafia show. Or this is the Mountaineer Mafia show. So stay tuned for the next Mountaineer Mafia show coming on Thursday. And guys, we're going to have the Voice of College Football West Virginia channel show at 8 tonight. Then Steelers Dynasty podcast teamed up with Steelers Nation Australia for our 9 o'clock Tuesday show, talking about the Steelers. They're 2-0, but they're a team that's bad that's winning. Yes, I said it. They're not a great team, but they're winning, and that's all that matters. I'd rather be rich and ugly, right, than poor and good looking. Well, that's the Steelers right now. The Mountaineers are pretty, but poor. They got 2 L's, buddy. 2 L's, but they're still a pretty team. They're fun to watch. They're dynamic. They're so fun. Guys, that catch that was made in the corner of the end zone with one hand, guys, if you don't get excited when you see that, or, breaking off an 8-yard gain, you're not a fan. You're not a fan of the sport. Now, so if you've missed it, recap. West Virginia still has a chance to go bowling. I'm thinking they're going to go bowling. They're going to have 3. They're going to have 3 losses in Big 12 play, and then have a chance at a decent bowl. Finish 3rd, maybe 4th in the Big 12. But it's anybody's conference right now. We thought Kansas was going to be a contender. They're still a contender because they haven't lost a conference game. West Virginia's still a contender because guess what? They have 0 losses in conference. So, with that, I want to bid you a wonderful Tuesday. I will see you in 20 minutes on the Voice of College Football.